What makes us? Out of billions of species that have walked this earth, why did humans rise to the top? Why do we build cities, create art, and launch rockets, while our closest relatives still swing from trees? The story of human beings isn't just a timeline, it's a wild, mind-bending journey of survival, curiosity, and sometimes pure luck. So how did we get here? And more importantly, what does it actually mean to be human? What if I told you the story of humanity is not just about evolution, but about connection, creativity, and choices that shape the fate of our species? Let's rewind the clock. Not by hundreds, not by thousands, but by millions of years. Picture this: dense jungles, giant predators, and tiny creatures scrambling to survive. Somewhere in this chaos, our distant ancestors, small tree-dwelling primates, began to change. But why? What pushed them out of the trees? One theory suggests that climate shifts forced early primates to leave the safety of the forests. Trees were disappearing, the savannas were growing. Walking upright became more useful. Imagine being able to see above the tall grasses for danger or food. Evolution nudged us toward bipedalism, and from there, everything started to snowball. Meet Australopithecus afarensis. You might know her better as Lucy. About 3.2 million years ago, she walked on two legs, but her brain was still the size of a chimp's. So here's the question: when did size matter? Fast forward to Homo habilis, the handyman. This is where tools enter the scene, simple rocks sharpened into cutting edges. But why were tools such a big deal? Tools meant access to meat. Meat meant more calories. More calories meant bigger brains. Bigger brains meant, well, us. But wait, let's pause. Bigger brains also meant bigger problems. Think about it. The human brain tripled in size over a few million years. That's like your smartphone jumping from flip phone to quantum computer overnight. It was revolutionary, but it came with a cost. Human babies started being born earlier. Why? Because if we waited until the brain fully developed, the baby's head wouldn't fit through the birth canal. It's called the obstetric dilemma. So babies were born fragile, underdeveloped, and completely dependent. This forced our ancestors to work together, to cooperate, to build social structures. Could it be that human love, friendship, and empathy didn't evolve from convenience, but from necessity? But there's more. Let's talk about fire. What's the big deal about setting stuff on fire? Well, fire gave us cooked food, which made digestion easier and freed up energy for, brain growth. Fire also meant warmth, protection, and, here's where it gets interesting, a reason to gather. Can you imagine early humans sitting around fires, telling stories? Some anthropologists believe that storytelling was the original glue of human society. Stories passed down knowledge. Stories built culture. Stories made us human. But how did we go from surviving to thriving? Enter Homo sapiens, us. About 300,000 years ago, we emerged. But we weren't alone. The world was home to several other human species, like the Neanderthals and Denisovans. Here's a question. Why are we the only ones left? For a long time, the theory was simple. We outcompeted them. But now the story seems more complicated. We interbred. Traces of Neanderthal DNA still exist in modern humans. In a way, they live on inside us. So, was it really about survival of the fittest? Or survival of the most adaptable? What truly set us apart was not just strength, but imagination. Look at ancient cave paintings like those in Lascaux, France. Over 17,000 years ago, humans were already painting animals, hunting scenes, and even abstract symbols. What does that tell us? It shows that we weren't just thinking about where the next meal would come from. We were thinking beyond the present. we could imagine. And with imagination came civilization. About 12,000 years ago, something drastic happened. Humans started farming. Why did we settle down? Was it because we were tired of moving? Or was it simply because we could? Farming allowed people to produce surplus food. Surplus food allowed populations to grow. And with growth came complex societies, writing, religion, and eventually, the rise of cities. But here's the twist. Agriculture wasn't necessarily a golden ticket. Many experts argue that early farmers were worse off than their hunter-gatherer ancestors. They worked harder, had poorer diets, and lived closer to disease. So why did they stick with it? Because agriculture gave humans something else: stability. And stability gave us power. And power? Well, that's where things get really messy. Empires rose and fell, wars were fought, technologies exploded, humans built ships, crossed oceans, split atoms, and eventually launched themselves into space. All this in the blink of an evolutionary eye. But wait, if we've achieved so much, why are we still struggling with things like inequality, conflict, and climate change? Why are we so advanced, yet still so fragile? Maybe because evolution gave us intelligence, but not always wisdom. We developed tools faster than we developed the responsibility to use them wisely. We invented the wheel, but also the war machine. We mapped the human genome, but still struggle to care for every human life. We built the internet to connect us, but often it divides us. So here's the real question. What's next for humans? Will we let artificial intelligence, climate shifts, and political divides shape our future? Or will we choose a path where our empathy and curiosity drive us forward? And by the way, what is a human? Is it our biology, our culture, our ability to love, or is it simply the stories we tell about ourselves? Some scientists now predict that humans will eventually evolve into something entirely different. Some say we'll merge with technology. Some say we'll colonize other planets. Some say we'll go extinct and leave only traces behind, footprints, satellites, and the echoes of our stories. But maybe the real legacy of being human is not the monuments we build or the power we accumulate. Maybe it's the questions we dare to ask. Where did we come from? Why are we here? What does it mean to be alive? And perhaps, the most important question of all, what will we choose to become? If this journey through the story of us made you think, imagine where the next click could take you. Hit that like button, subscribe for more mind-expanding stories, and don't forget to check out the links in the description to keep exploring the wonders of our universe and ourselves. Thanks for watching, and remember, the story of humanity is still being written.